A 911 call comes in. The caller is very calm and relaxed and says, "My girlfriend was kidnapped last night. Someone broke in, tied us up, and left with her." And the 911 dispatcher says, "Well, sir, why didn't you call last night when the incident occurred?" He says, "I couldn't. I was drugged." Let's find out right now. Happy Wicked Wednesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne-Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrico, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that y'all like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne-Marie. And I hope you'll have a beverage, a snuggle partner, a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best, and y'all ready to hear a story from me, Anne-Marie. Now, let's start with this case. This case was crazy. I remember when this case came out. I remember watching the footage, and now it is on Netflix called American Nightmare. It's even in the top 10. People are watching this everywhere. So let's get into the case and see what it's all about. In the early morning hours of March 23rd, 2015, a beautiful couple by the name of Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn from Vallejo, California, were sound asleep in their bed. 3 a.m., a light shines on them. A blinding bright light shines on them. Then 3 laser dots crosses their eyes. Then a taser. And the intruder says, "Get up." Denise, tie Aaron's hands behind his back. Aaron lay flat on the bed, face down. Denise proceeds to tie up Aaron's hands. Then the intruder ties up Denise. And then after that, he puts on duct-taped swim goggles over their heads and puts earphones on Aaron's ears, playing wind chime music. Very weird, but okay. Then he tells them to go downstairs on the couch so he could take their vitals and their blood pressure. Okay, weird, but let's move on. After that, Aaron looks at him and says, "It's so cold," and he's shivering. The intruder states, "Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I forgot we are wearing wetsuits." Another strange thing. After that, he gives the couple NyQuil and a sedative and tells them to drink it. He proceeds to take Denise, put her in the trunk of his car, and drives away. By this time, Aaron is out. He's passed out completely. He calls the police a couple of hours later and says, "My girlfriend has been kidnapped." And y'all, this is 6 or 7 hours later. The 911 dispatcher asks, "Why didn't you call earlier?" He said, "I'm sorry, I was drugged." Don't y'all find this weird? Don't y'all find this case maybe not true? Maybe does sound like a Gone Girl case? What do y'all think? Tell me down in the comments what y'all think about this case before I move on. While this whole invasion is taking place, the intruder sits Denise down and says, "I'm sorry. This was intended for Andrea." Who's Andrea? Denise is like, "What the hell is going on here?" Andrea is Aaron's ex-fiance who had moved out the house in September of 2014, just 6 months before the home invasion occurred. But he took Denise anyway. He took her, he put her in the trunk of Aaron's car, left, stole the car, and drove. At this time, Aaron and Denise are probably out. They have taken NyQuil and a sedative. After that, he wants $15,000. The intruder wants $15,000 from Aaron. Aaron can only access $3,500. When he receives the email, he says to himself, "I need help. I have to call the police. I have to get someone to help my girlfriend." He was very scared because the intruder had told him, "I have a camera mounted in your house and I have a camera outside that will watch your every move, your every step. And if you call police, it's not going to be good. I don't want any police involved." Aaron does what he's told, but he can only access $3,500, so he calls the police. The police call Denise's parents and say, "I'm sorry to tell you, but your daughter has been kidnapped." They hadn't even met Aaron yet. Denise was the all-American girl. She was a doctor in physical therapy. She didn't have a crazy lifestyle. And usually a kidnapping is not stranger related, meaning that you know your kidnapper, mainly. Sometimes it's not like that. But when I was researching this case, that I learned that. I had never known that before, but a lot of kidnappers kidnap people that they know. Then Aaron goes to the police and says, this is what happened, tells them everything. Wetsuits, sedatives, NyQuil, goggles, wind chime music, earphones, zip ties. The police are like, oh, okay, all right. Kind of skeptical. And I'm telling y'all right now, if I would have been a police officer, which I should have been, I should have followed my dreams and became exactly who I wanted to be. But I listened to everybody else who said it's a man's job. It's not a man's job. A woman can do anything a man can do. So remember, follow your dreams. Whatever you want to do, you can do. Anyway, I know I would be skeptical. I would be like, what the hell is going on? But I wouldn't think the person was lying. I wouldn't. I would be weirded out like, God, somebody maybe has this crazy fetish. I don't know. But the police are going to treat it as a kidnapping for ransom. Everyone is looking for Denise. The case is very bizarre, but it's very unique. So everybody kind of wants a piece of it and to know exactly what happened. What happened to Denise? She didn't have a risky lifestyle. Why was she kidnapped? And why was the kidnapper looking for Aaron's ex-fiance, but took his new girlfriend? There is also no evidence of a break-in. There's not a kick down door. There's not a window that's broken. There is no evidence at all of a break-in. So police, they're very suspicious. They're wondering what the heck happened. But y'all, how many of you have accidentally forgot to lock the door at night or any time of the day? We all have done it. We all have woken up and like, oh my God, I didn't lock the door last night. And some of us have the keys hanging on the door, just full access. But you know, if you have an alarm, you're safe, but it's always good to lock the house. Just always remember that. Always remember, hey, the Cajun Crime Queen tells me to lock my doors. Now, at this time, they bring in Andrea. They were like, what the heck is going on? We got to talk to Andrea at this point because this was all about her. This wasn't about Denise. Supposedly, that's what they told Denise. She doesn't know. She goes, all I know is that Aaron's trying to get back with me. Denise found out. Denise found text messages. And Denise, Andrea, and Aaron all work at the same rehab unit. Weird, crazy, but hey. But they didn't really have all this tension. Nothing crazy was going on. So they sit Aaron down and they tell Aaron, you need a lie detector test. In the meantime, cops are dusting for evidence. There's a manhunt, there's search dogs, there's boats. Everyone is looking for Denise. But in the back of the police head, they're saying, this is very strange. Goggles, wetsuits, sedatives. Yes, it's strange, but I have learned, thanks to a lot of you, not everyone is the same. Not everyone participates in crimes the same way. You have Ted Bundy that breaks in, does whatever he has to do and leaves, or brings the body somewhere. Then you have people that it takes days and they have all these plans and all these fetishes. So people can have bizarre kidnappings, bizarre stories, come back fine. They just kidnapped him for a couple of days. But a man by the name of Detective Mustard slammed his fist down and said, you know what, Aaron? I think you're lying. And they give him the lie detector test. He fails it. They said, we have no question that you failed this lie detector test. There's not even a question of it. The detective tells Aaron that the comforter is missing. He says, yes, I heard that. And as we all know, that's very suspicious because if y'all remember the Chris Watts and Shanann Watts case back in Colorado, back in 2018, when they found Shanann, she was covered with their sheet. So people really do use sheets and comforters to carry out a body or carry out evidence. It does happen. So the police, they were suspicious about that. Like, why is the comforter missing? And Aaron's like, I don't know. I was passed out. I was given sedatives and NyQuil. I didn't know what was going on half the time. The police are just putting all of their effort into Aaron, telling him, I know you did this. I know you did this. Not only did they say that they knew that he committed this crime, they also said, you know what? You're going to shame your family. You're a brutal serial killer. What the hell? How can you say that about someone? Of course, we would be skeptical. I know I would, but you cannot look at this young man who just went through this traumatic case and say, you're a brutal serial killer and you're going to shame your family. What the hell? You don't tell a person that. You don't do that to someone. Aaron knew he didn't do this, and he lawyers up. And he gives, before he gets a lawyer, he gives them DNA. He gives them fingerprints, whatever they want, whatever they need, Aaron gives them. He lawyers up. He says, this is it. I'm done with all this. The lawyer states, if you're not going to charge him with anything, we're leaving. I'm leaving with him. That was it. Now, the detectives go and question Denise's family about Denise's character. With her mom sitting right there, Detective Mustard, you remember that detective that was slamming his fist down saying, Aaron, I know you did this. Tell me the truth. I demand the truth. He told, well, no, he asked, he said, has Denise ever gone through an event in her life that was traumatizing maybe? They were just questioning her character. The mother states, when she was 12, she was SA'd. This Detective Mustard says the most horrible thing in the world. And to a parent that is waiting for their child to come home from a kidnapping, don't know what's going on. He tells Denise's mother, oh, well, you know, a lot of times when people are SA'd, they make it all up again. They pretend it happened again, and they relive the thrill of it. What the F? Who says that? Who does that? That's crazy to me. But he was so convinced that Aaron had committed this murder or this crime or this kidnapping because Andrea Denise found out about Andrea, something happened and he had to kill Denise. The whole thing was bizarre, but this Detective Mustard and the Vallejo Police Department was absolutely convinced that there was no kidnapping, nothing was wrong, this was all Aaron. Denise says she remembers coming in and out of sleep, because remember, she was on NyQuil and sedatives, and she remembers like highways and interstates vaguely. Then the intruder stops the car that she's in, the Toyota Camry, the car that belongs to Aaron, and puts her in the trunk of another vehicle. She said it sounds like a Mustang. The engine is all revved up. Something is different about the car. She knows. She gets in the car. He then stops. He takes her out of the trunk. She doesn't know, but they are at his house or wherever he's staying. He lies her down on the concrete and says, wait right here. I have to get ready. Y'all, if my kidnapper or anybody told me that, I would be thinking, oh my God, the person's about to torture me. I'm going into this torture chamber. I'm going to go into this house that I don't know what's going to happen to me. That would scare the living daylights out of me. She waits. He comes out. She hears the sound of duct tape. She says, he puts her in the bedroom and says, I'm part of this black market. And remember, she's wearing these blacked out swim goggles, so she doesn't see anything. They're duct taped and they're on her face. What we do is we kidnap people and then hold them for ransom. So I'm part of this organization. Okay? And once we receive the ransom, you will be released within 48 hours. She says, okay. She says while she's there, she keeps hearing all this French pop music, which was weird because she liked that type of music. So she's sitting there. The person walks in and says, we have a problem. We lost contact with Aaron. Now I'm going to have to SA you because we need some kind of collateral that if you go to the police, I'm going to record this encounter, this SA event, So you do not go to the police, because if you do, it's going to be released to the internet. She was scared. She was freaked out. After it was done, he guides her to the bathroom and states, listen, from now on, you could take off those goggles, but when you hear me coming, you better put them back on, because I do not want you to see my face. She didn't trust this man anymore. She did not trust any word that he said. First, he says that it was just going to be a robbery, a just home invasion, but he takes Denise. Then he tells her, don't worry, I'm not going to dehumanize you. He essays her. She doesn't believe anything he says. So at this point, she doesn't know what the heck is going on. He comes back in and says, this time I'm going to have to essay you again, but I want you to enjoy it. I'm going to record it. I want you to act like we are in a relationship. He puts clear tape on her eyes so it looks like she's sleeping, and he records all of this while she has to act like she is enjoying it. What a sick person, y'all. What a sick individual to do this to a person. The kidnapper wants to prove to the world that Denise is alive and that she's okay. He records Denise saying that she was kidnapped, but she's fine, and a current event happened in the world, so they know it's happening right now. Sends it to this reporter, and the reporter, gives it to the police. Then, after that, he comes in and tells Denise, okay, this is a video of your dad that I'm going to show you that I want you to watch. He's begging for her life. He's begging for his daughter. She can only see a little bit because he just raises the goggles just a little bit so she can't see him, but she sees the phone. After that, he puts her back in this car. At this time, she kind of noticed that the car is white. She knows the car is white, but she doesn't know what she's in, what kind of car, what's going on. He gives her more sedatives. Okay? After that, he drives her to Huntington Beach, where her parents' homes are. She gets out of the car. He instructs her and says, Aaron has spoken to the police, and the police are going to want to engage with you at some point. There are two things you cannot tell the police. You cannot tell the police that I was in the military, and you cannot tell police that I SA'd you. Those are the two things you have to stay clear of, okay? So she says, okay. She's not going to do anything. He said, because we're always going to be watching you. Always, 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 always going to be watching you. She freaks out. He says, listen, I'm going to help you out the car. I want you to count to 10 and then start walking back home. She hears the engine rev up. It's just a loud, loud engine. She counts to 10. She's like, I know he's gone. She is seen walking on the surveillance camera back to her house, carrying this big book sack and this big duffel bag, which to this day, I have no clue where this bag and this book sack came from, because we don't know. I mean, did he take that with him whenever he left Aaron's house? Did he give her something? What was in that bag that she didn't know what was in that bag? A lot of people are saying that the whole thing is made up, because when you see Denise walking back to her home on surveillance, she's very calm. She's walking very slow, like just trucking along like nothing's wrong. And at first I was like, that's weird, because I'd be running. Knowing me, I'd be running back, like freaked out. Like, I hope they don't come back and see me. But you have to remember, she was on sedative. She was on NyQuil. She was all messed up. So for her, she was probably groggy, probably tired, just coming into this. The police want to speak to her. She's very scared to talk to police, because remember what he said, that we're going to be watching you and this and that, and don't say anything. While speaking to police, they asked her, were you SA'd? She did not want to lie. She was very scared, but she said yes. Yes, he did SA me. Now, after all of this talking, after all of this interviewing, they say, there's a detective in Vallejo and he has an agreement basically giving you immunity. She's like, immunity for what? What are you giving me immunity for? She's like, what the heck is going on? And she lawyers up. And when she lawyers up, The lawyer says, do not have any more contact with the police, get out of town, and lay low until I figure things out. She does that. We're all going to listen to our lawyer. They know best. We don't. We didn't go to law school. We don't know what goes on. We don't know what happens with the police. She doesn't speak to them again, and she goes out to a different place. Well, the police are like, oh, she's running away. She's not talking to us because this is all made up. This is all a hoax. This is all a Gone Girl story. They accused her of basically scaring the community for no reason. Everybody's freaked out. They're looking for this kidnapper because none of this is true. She left town because she couldn't face the lies that she created. Yo, this is crazy. Absolutely nuts. It could be very, very made up, but it could not be. And the police didn't even think about it being true because I know y'all remember, and we're going to cover both of them one day. Sherry Panini, back in California, made this whole story up that she was kidnapped. She branded herself. She was beaten up. The whole thing was a lie. She just wanted to go see this dude in a whole nother place. Then you have the Jennifer Wilbanks story in Duluth, Georgia, who went for a run and never came back, and then came back and saying that people had kidnapped her for days. Come to find out, the whole thing was made up because she didn't want to get married in 2 days. So crazy things do happen. People do make up these random stories, but the police didn't believe that. They didn't believe their story. They thought all of this was made up. Denise's lawyer advised her to take an essay exam. So they notified the Vallejo police. The Vallejo police says, okay, but first we need a statement. They bring Denise in. They speak to her, and it's that same Detective Mustard that doesn't believe Aaron, doesn't believe the story at all. And he asks her questions like, well, were you ever in a trunk before? Why didn't you make any noise? She was like, I was awoken from a dead sleep and then giving sedatives. And no, I have never been in the back of a trunk. And they're realizing now that Aaron's story and Denise's story both match up. And because they match up, you think that police would say, that's it. They're telling the truth. Their stories are exactly the same. No, they still don't believe it. Then Denise's essay test comes back that she has had intercourse in the past 48 hours. So they know that she may have been SA'd. They still don't believe her. The FBI tells her they don't believe her. No one believes this poor couple. The FBI and the police station, neither one of them are showing any kind of compassion to this couple. The FBI agent that is interviewing Denise says, you know, Denise, you can change your story if you want to, because lying to a federal agent is a crime. She's like, what? Denise's lawyer steps out and says, why don't you believe my client? What makes you think she's not telling the truth? He says, have you ever seen the movie Gone Girl? He says, this isn't Hollywood. This isn't a movie. This is real life. Someone got kidnapped and someone is telling you the story and you don't believe it. Denise and Aaron were terrified. The kidnappers were still out there. The police weren't even looking for them. They felt no compassion at all. Denise and Aaron felt their lives were destroyed. They couldn't work. They couldn't go anywhere. They were just trapped. In the meantime, that same reporter that got the email about Jennifer's dad, Jennifer begging for her life and saying she was okay and everything like that. That reporter got another email, and the email stated the pictures of the guns with the lasers on them, the Mustang. And remember, she said she felt like it was some type of Mustang she was in, and said, Denise is not lying. Denise and Aaron are both telling the truth. The next day, the same reporter that's been getting all these emails from the intruder, the emails state, the FBI and the police need to give a public apology to Denise and Aaron because they are not liars. All of this did really happen. They did not make all of this up. And if there is not an apology in just 24 hours, this all will happen again. Now, as we all know, some of y'all may not know, a lot of serial killers, a lot of different types of criminals, they like recognition. They want to show people, hey, this is what I did. BTK, after he would commit a crime, he would call the police from a payphone and say, hey, it's me. This is where you're going to find the body. Because they want to be glorified. They want everyone to know it's me. This is where it is. And this is how it's going to be. Just 10 weeks after Denise's release, 40 miles away, a couple was sleeping. They are awoken by screams. The couple, this intruder had came into the couple's house. They're trying to kidnap their 22-year-old daughter, staying in the next room beside them. The dad is fighting with the intruder. There's zip ties found, duct tape. And while the police are investigating the house, they see that the intruder did not take the daughter. The husband must have scared him off and he ran out the house. And the daughter says to the police, there is a cell phone on the counter that I think the intruder left behind when he ran out of the house. Jackpot. They have a cell phone. They locate the subscriber of the cell phone. It's this nice lady. The police tell her, hey, we just found this phone. We're trying to get it back to the person. She's like, oh yeah, that's my son. He's living in my cabin in Lake Tahoe. They have him. They hurry up and leave because they want to find him before he flees or before this happens again. They burst in the house. They yell search warrant. They're looking for him everywhere. They find him. And who do they find? Harvard graduate and ex-military Matthew Muller. Very intelligent, very good looking, looks like a normal guy living in America, doesn't seem weird, doesn't look like crazy like Charles Manson, looks like a normal person. They search the house. They find zip ties. They found NyQuil bottles. They found duct tape. They find goggles, those swim goggles that he was always putting on people. They find the duct tape swim goggles with a blonde hair on it. They also find a blow-up doll that looks like a human. They had no idea what that was for in the trunk of a car. They find a stolen white Mustang. And they also find these play guns that are painted black with lasers duct taped on them. And these big lights taped on them. They knew in their minds, this is the attacker that we are looking for. But they didn't know that he had committed a crime 40 miles away in Vallejo. Police didn't realize that Matthew Muller, when they looked him up, he was arrested on several things: sexual battery, attempted rapes. He was not an all-American guy. He was a criminal. But nothing could ever tie him to a case. In the meantime, Denise is being harassed. They sending her hateful emails, calling her a liar, saying this is all a hoax. They can't do anything. They can't even walk out of their house. Aaron and Denise are being harassed so badly that they feel they trapped inside their own home. And back in 2009, Matthew Muller was a suspect, the prime suspect in a home invasion. He broke into this person's house. He tied up the lady and he was going to SA her. And she begged him. She said, please, no, this already happened to me before. I don't want to go through this again. Please just leave. I'll do whatever you want. He felt sorry for the lady. He leaves. He lets her go. He doesn't do anything. They saw him around the bushes. They saw him around the house, but there was never any DNA, never any evidence to show that he was there and show that he committed the crime. Later on that year, another woman living by herself. She wakes up in the middle of the night. He shines the light on her, all these lasers, puts these swim goggles, the same thing, duct tape, zip ties, everything. While she was laying there, he tells her, I'm going to SA you. She goes, no, please, you don't have to do this. Please don't do this. Please, I'll do anything. You just start bargaining. You say you do whatever. Please, please, please. He backs up and says, I can't do this. I cannot commit this crime. And then he tells her, y'all, listen, I'm just going to give you some advice. I think you should get a dog for protection because that would ensure that you would know if somebody broke into your home. Wow. You're a criminal. When police arrive at the lady's house, they don't believe her. They look at her and say, hey, did you have a bad dream? Is that why the intruder left and he told you to get a dog? You sure this wasn't all a dream? She shows them her wrist and says, look, I was zip tied. I was tied up. This really happened. They even interviewed the young lady's boyfriend and said, hey, is your girlfriend an attention seeker? Does she like to make up stories? I mean, they didn't believe her. Of course, strange things have happened. People have just made up these crazy stories to police, but you can't think that every story is made up. You have to go by it first. You have to investigate it. You have to look into it. They also notify the person that the Mustang was stolen, and the person says, I wonder if this is the Mare Creeper. She's like, what creeper and where is Mare Island? Mare Island and Vallejo are connected by this bridge. And a couple of years earlier, Matthew Muller was harassing students. He was looking in their windows. He was running away. He was looking to see what he can do. The police weren't doing anything. They called the police. They told police what was going on. They did nothing. So the students decided to take matters into their own hands. They followed Matthew Muller to his house one night, found out he lived in Mare Island and that he was ex-military and a lawyer. They knew all about him, and police did absolutely nothing when they told the police what they found. And that stolen GPS, guess what? Guess what happened? When they looked at the GPS, they noticed that in that Mustang, the address of Huntington Beach, where Denise Huskins was dropped off, was typed in that GPS on that stolen white Mustang. Jackpot. They figured this story is connected, and that blonde hair that they found on those goggles in Dublin, California, was actually Denise Huskins' hair. The Dublin detective was so excited. She knew, we have this man in custody. We have this man that committed all these crimes in custody, and she knew it. She knew the suspect was absolutely guilty. She calls up the Vallejo police. No one answers. No one calls her back. She keeps calling. She keeps calling. No one calls her back. They finally answer. They tell her, oh, the FBI took over. She calls the FBI. She tells the FBI everything. You know what the FBI says? The same FBI that said that Denise was lying? They say, oh, okay, well, just send me everything you have. That's it? That's it? That's all you're going to say? Send me everything you have? She was shocked. She was absolutely shocked. The Vallejo Police Department and the FBI knew they were wrong. They were absolutely wrong, and that Denise and Aaron were absolutely not lying about this story. But they were so ready to prosecute Denise and Aaron. The lawyers wanted to see the affidavit. They wanted to see what was written in there. They saw on the affidavit several things that showed that the police really didn't do anything. They were not searching for anything. They did not do anything, nothing. Remember that lie detector test that they gave Aaron, and they told Aaron that he failed miserably? Guess what? He didn't fail miserably. They told him that he failed miserably, and there was no question that he was lying. There was absolutely no question. That was a lie. They lied to him about that. Then, remember how Aaron told the police, y'all, I'm going to be getting a phone call in a couple of hours telling me, instructing me what I have to do next. What did the police do when they got Aaron's phone? They put his phone in airplane mode. Did turn it on to the next evening, and they saw they had 2 calls on it. And guess what? Those two calls to that phone, guess what? They were traceable. And Denise was being held captive only 200 meters from where she was abducted. That second SA could have been prevented. The second SA he did on Denise could have been prevented if only the police would have tracked that phone number. But they were so worried about Denise and Aaron lying, they didn't look into anything, nothing. They had also found out that Matthew Muller was disbarred a couple of years earlier for lying to a client. Matthew Muller pled guilty. In March 2017, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison. He was never sentenced or charged with the rest of the crimes. Never. This was his sentencing. And as I would have done as well, Denise and Aaron sued the Vallejo Police Department and collected $2.5 million. And they should. Those two people were so honest, did everything they were supposed to do, and were called liars. We said this was a hoax. This is crazy, y'all. This is the craziest case that I've heard of when it has to do with kidnapping. But he pled guilty. He knew it was over, and he probably knew he needed help. He just seemed very kind, but just a psychopath. He couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. He knew he was messed up, bipolar, PTSD from the Gulf War. He told the police all of that. But it didn't give him the right to commit these crimes and to scare the living daylights of everyone around him. Matthew Mueller never stated why Andrea, Aaron's ex-girlfriend, was the person that he wanted to kidnap. He never said anything. And the chief of police in Vallejo, Andrew Bidu, guess what, y'all? An anonymous call came in and said that Andrew Bidu, the chief of police, told Officer Park in the press conference about Denise, burn that bitch. They wanted her to look like a liar and that she was making everything up. Andrew Bidu, he said, I didn't say that. That never happened. I believe it did, because the police were going so hard on this couple. They did not believe anything they said. And guess what? Detective Mustard, who was slamming his fist down, saying things about Denise, saying things about Aaron, he was Officer of the Year in 2015. All of this stuff is crazy. But I'm glad that Denise and Aaron got through all of it, probably went through some counseling, probably did some things to relieve their stress, and now are living a good life. I am very proud of them for never giving up and for always pushing through this. And now they are happy. They are living their life. They now can say, we never made up anything, and the whole world knows they told the truth. So does Matthew. Matthew pled guilty. He admitted it. I did this. I'm bipolar. Final thought. I'll always give y'all my final thought. My final thought is, I think Matthew Mueller was extremely disturbed. He suffered from PTSD. He suffered from bipolar, but that does not give him the right to commit the crime he committed. I believe that he was the Mare Island Creeper. I believe that he was the man that broke into people's homes. I do believe that he was very kind during these incidents, but I think it was because he came back to himself for a minute. He came out of his body and said, I can't do this. What am I doing? Because he was bipolar. I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments down below. What do y'all think? Why do y'all think he was committed these crimes? What was going on through his head? Because this is crazy. Swim goggles, wetsuits, lasers, NyQuil, sedatives, stolen vehicles, blow-up dolls. The whole thing was strange, but it can happen. And another thing that disturbs me. Did y'all remember when I made my Derek Todd Lee video, the very first one I made? Remember, those detectives in Zachary, Louisiana told the police in Baton Rouge, we believe this is the suspect. Nope. The suspect is a white man driving a white truck. I don't want to hear it. All of those murders could have been prevented if they would have just looked into Derek Todd Lee, but they didn't. They believed that he was not the murderer. Just look into it. You don't have to believe it. Let's just look into it and throw it off the table. Just like in this case, look into it. The police never looked into Matthew Mueller when the kids went to him and said, hey, this guy's peeping in our windows. This guy's scaring us. They never did anything. They never even tried, nothing. So we have to realize that sometimes even just the smallest detail will get us somewhere. We never know. I want to thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope that y'all like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. Always remember to stay safe. Always know that y'all can message me. Y'all can send me requests. Y'all can ask me questions about different things, about safety, about what to do. Always remember to protect yourself. And I want to thank you so much for all of your love and support. I love y'all all very much. And I just want to tell y'all again, thank you and I love y'all. Bye.